Aaron sat on the edge of the hotel bed, smiling at the woman beside him. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of the air conditioner. He had just set his phone down on the nightstand when it lit up with a new message. He picked it up without thinking. It was from Lena. "Okay, I'm out here waiting." His heart dropped. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. His hands turned cold. He stared at the screen, trying to make sense of the message. She wasn't supposed to be anywhere near here. She was supposed to be in another city, visiting her sister for a few days. That's what she told him when she packed her bag and left that morning. Aaron stood up slowly. His mind raced. Could it be a joke? A mistake? Maybe she meant something else? But no. Lena never sent random messages. She always meant what she said. He walked to the window with shaky steps and gently moved the curtain. His eyes searched the street below. There, across the road, was her car. The same silver SUV he saw every day in their driveway, parked in a spot where she could see the hotel entrance. Right where he had walked in not long ago, holding another woman's hand. She had been watching. Aaron stepped back from the window. He didn't know what to do. His thoughts were a mess. He looked at the woman in the room, who was now checking her makeup in the mirror. She hadn't noticed anything yet, but he knew it wouldn't take long. Lena wasn't supposed to be here, but something inside her had told her not to trust him. He'd been acting different for weeks, coming home late, talking less, always saying he had things to do at church. She had smiled and nodded, pretending to believe him, but deep down she didn't. Instead of going to her sister's house, she stayed in town. She followed him when he left the house earlier. She saw where he went. She waited until he got inside. Then she sent the message, and now he was frozen, phone in hand, sweat on his forehead. His world was falling apart, and she hadn't even spoken a word. Outside, in the parked car, Lena sat calmly. She didn't look away. She waited. Inside, Aaron stood still, staring through the glass. He saw her. She saw him. Nothing else moved. 1 week earlier, Lena started noticing small changes in Aaron. He was acting different. He dressed better than usual. He wore shirts she hadn't seen in a long time, ironed and tucked in neatly. He fixed his hair more carefully. He used cologne even on weekdays. When she asked about it, he simply said he wanted to look nice for church. She nodded, but something felt off. He also started staying out late. He told her he had church meetings 2 or 3 times a week. Before, it used to be once in a while, but now it was every Tuesday and Thursday. Sometimes weekends too. He always had a reason: Bible class, men's group, special events. He said the church needed him. Lena wanted to believe him, but her thoughts kept circling back. Something didn't feel right. Then his phone habits changed. He kept it in his pocket all the time. Before, he used to leave it on the kitchen table or nightstand. Now it never left his side. If it rang, he would step outside or go into the garage. One night, he even answered a call while walking to the backyard and stayed there for half an hour. When he came back, he said it was Brother Michael from church. Lena didn't say anything, but she remembered that name. A few days later, while folding laundry in the bedroom, she saw his phone light up on the nightstand. The call ended quickly and showed as a missed call from Brother Michael. Something inside her told her to check. When Aaron went to take a shower, she picked up the phone and wrote down the number. She searched the number on her own phone. It wasn't a church number. It was a nail salon. She sat still, staring at the screen. Her hands felt stiff. It made no sense. Why would he save a nail salon under a church member's? What was going on? She didn't ask him. Instead, she decided to watch more carefully. She got a small notebook from her drawer and started writing things down. The days he left the house, the time he came back, the clothes he wore. She wrote everything. She also checked the car when she could. One time, she found a food receipt in the glove box, 2 meals, dessert, and a note written on the back. "Let's go again next week." It wasn't in her handwriting. She took a photo of the receipt and put it back. She didn't mention it. Each time he said he had a church event, she kept track. She wanted to be sure. She didn't talk to anyone about it. She didn't tell him what she knew. She just kept quiet and waited. By the end of that week, she had enough signs. She didn't know who the other person was, but she knew Aaron wasn't telling the truth. And now she was ready to find out everything. He said he was helping at the church every Tuesday and Thursday. He mentioned small tasks, setting up chairs, organizing supplies, helping with events. The details sounded reasonable. He always seemed calm when explaining. He never hesitated. Everything sounded planned and believable, but something still felt off. She didn't argue or question. She just listened and smiled. On the outside, she acted like she believed every word. Inside, she paid close attention. The little things he said didn't match what she saw. His phone habits had changed. His routine felt too smooth, too perfect. The more he talked, the more she felt he was hiding something. One Thursday, she had time off. She told him she'd be out for the day, meeting a friend and running errands. He nodded and said he'd be busy at the church as usual. After he left, she waited a bit, then got in her car and drove to the building herself. She walked in quietly. A few people were setting up for a small gathering. She greeted them kindly and asked if they had seen him. A woman looked puzzled and said he hadn't been around for weeks. Someone else nearby nodded in agreement. Used to help out sometimes, one man said, but not lately. She gave a soft laugh and thanked them like nothing was wrong. Her face stayed calm. She smiled the whole time. No one could tell what she was thinking. Then she left, walked back to the car, and sat behind the wheel for a moment in silence. Later that evening, the conversation at home was the same as always. He talked about what he claimed he did. He said the group was small that day, that the church was quiet, that they moved some things around. She nodded along, pretending to listen closely. That night, when he was asleep, she quietly took her keys and went to the garage. She opened the trunk and placed a small AirTag in the corner under the mat. Then she closed it gently and walked back inside. She didn't feel nervous. She was calm. The truth would come piece by piece. All she had to do now was wait and watch. Lena checked the tracker every day. She didn't rush. She waited patiently. On the first Tuesday after she placed the AirTag, she stayed home. Aaron left at the usual time, saying he was going to church. As soon as he pulled out of the driveway, she opened the tracking app on her phone. The small dot moved across the screen. She watched it leave their neighborhood. It didn't go toward the church. It kept moving past the main roads and stopped in a different part of town. It was a fancy area with tall buildings. The dot stopped in front of a high-end apartment complex. She zoomed in and looked at the address. She had never been there before. He stayed there for 2 hours. He came home later that night with a calm face. He talked about the meeting as if he had been at church. Lena didn't say a word. She just listened and nodded. 2 days later, on Thursday, she watched again. He left at the same time. She opened the tracker. This time, the dot stopped in front of a hotel. A Marriott. It wasn't near any church. She stared at her phone, watching the signal stay there for a long time. It didn't move. The car stayed parked in the same spot. She didn't speak that night either. He told her about a long church meeting, said it ended late, and even mentioned someone's name from the group. His face looked relaxed, but her thoughts were racing. The next morning, she called the church office. She asked kindly if any events were going on during the week, Bible groups, volunteer shifts, anything on Tuesdays or Thursdays. The person on the phone said no. There was nothing happening during the week, only Sunday services. That was all. She thanked them and hung up. Her hand was cold. Her heart was heavy, but her face stayed calm. The truth was clear now. He hadn't been going to the church. Not for meetings. Not for anything. He had lied. The apartment and hotel weren't accidents. They were planned. She knew now, without guessing, without wondering. She didn't cry. She didn't get angry. She sat down at the table and looked at the dates, times, and places again. The app kept records of everywhere he had been. She saved screenshots. She made a folder. Everything was quiet, but her mind was sharp. She made a plan. She took out her calendar and marked next Tuesday. She requested a day off from work. She didn't tell anyone why. She didn't tell him either. She smiled when he talked about next week, pretending she didn't know anything. But inside, she was ready. She had waited long enough. The tracker had shown the truth, and now she needed to see it with her own eyes. Next Tuesday would be different. She would be watching. On Tuesday morning, Lena woke up early. She dressed simply and quietly. She had already borrowed her sister's car the day before. Aaron didn't notice anything different. He got ready like always, said he had another church meeting, and left. Lena waited 10 minutes, then walked to the car parked 2 blocks away. It looked nothing like her own. That was the point. She didn't want him to know she was behind him. She turned on the tracker and followed slowly, keeping her distance. He drove across town, just like last time. The small dot on her screen moved toward the hotel area. She stayed calm, quiet, and focused. After about 30 minutes, he parked in front of the same hotel. Lena kept her car on the other side of the street. She turned off the engine and lowered her seat slightly. She could see clearly from where she was. A few minutes later, he stepped out of the car. He looked around, relaxed, not in a hurry. Then a woman walked up to him. Lena had never seen her before. She was smiling. Aaron smiled too. They hugged, then held hands. They walked slowly toward the entrance. At the door, he leaned down and kissed her. Lena didn't move. She just watched. Her hands were steady, but her heart was beating hard. She reached for her phone. She opened the last text message between her and Aaron. It was from a few days ago. She typed slowly, carefully. "Okay, I'm out here waiting." She pressed send. She kept her eyes on the hotel. A few minutes passed. Then she saw the woman and Aaron inside one of the rooms on the second floor. The curtains were half open. He was holding his phone, reading something. He froze. He turned quickly toward the window. Then he looked down at the street. Their eyes met. He didn't move. He just stared. Lena stayed in the car. She didn't wave. She didn't say anything. She just looked up at him, her face calm, her phone still in her hand. He took a step back from the window. The woman beside him was talking, but he wasn't listening. His body was stiff. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. She kept watching. The moment was quiet, but heavy. After a few seconds, she started the car. She didn't drive away yet. She let him see that she wasn't hiding. She wanted him to know she had seen everything. Then, slowly, she pulled away from the curb and drove off without looking back. She didn't need to see more. She had all the proof she needed. Aaron ran out of the hotel, still holding his phone. He looked left and right until he saw Lena standing by her sister's car. His steps were fast but shaky. His face was pale, and his mouth moved like he was trying to find the right words. He finally said, "It's not what it looks like." Lena didn't move. She looked straight at him. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She gave a small smile and said, "Do you know what day it is, Aaron?" He blinked. He looked confused for a second. Then he looked like he remembered. She didn't wait for him to answer. "It's our anniversary," she said, her voice low and cold. The woman who had been with him walked out a moment later. She paused when she saw Lena and looked between the two of them. She didn't say anything. She stepped back slowly, her face turning red. She seemed to realize what was going on. She grabbed her purse and quietly walked away. Lena opened the car door and pulled out a large brown envelope. She walked up to Aaron and tossed it at his chest. He caught it, confused. "Open it," she said. He looked inside. There were pictures, him and the other woman, holding hands, kissing, walking into the hotel. There were printed maps from the tracker app, showing where his car had gone, receipts from the hotel, dates, times. Everything was in there. He didn't say anything. He just stood there, flipping through the papers, his hands shaking. A few people nearby had stopped walking. Someone pulled out a phone and started recording. Lena didn't care. She looked at him again and said, "You always said God was watching." She took a breath and stepped closer. "Well, guess what?" she said. "I am too." He tried to speak again, but no words came out. His face was red now, and his mouth opened and closed like he was still searching for something to say. But there was nothing left to say. Lena turned away. She didn't look back. She got into her car and closed the door. The people watching stepped aside as she pulled out of the lot. The hotel faded behind her as she drove off. She kept her eyes on the road. Her heart was heavy, but her hands were steady. She had given him the truth. Right there in front of everyone. No screaming, no begging. Just facts. Just silence. And that silence said everything. That night, Aaron drove home. His mind was full. He hoped to explain, to fix something, even if he didn't know how. He pulled into the driveway slowly. The lights in the house were off. Everything looked quiet. Too quiet. He unlocked the front door and stepped inside. At first, he thought the power might be out. But no, the light switch worked. The living room was empty. The furniture was gone. The pictures on the wall were gone. The house was almost bare. He walked from room to room, his footsteps loud in the silence. The couch was gone. The table was gone. Even the rug was gone. The shelves were empty. It felt like someone had moved out. He rushed to the bedroom. Her clothes were gone. Her shoes. Her side of the closet was empty. The drawers didn't have anything. Her makeup, her books, her pictures, all missing. He opened the bathroom cabinet. Nothing. Not even her toothbrush. He walked into the kitchen and opened the fridge. Just a bottle of water and some ketchup. Everything else gone. He sat down at the kitchen counter, the one chair still left behind. He put his hands on his face and breathed slowly. The silence felt louder than ever. He went to check the safe in the closet. It was empty too. The important papers were gone. The folders, the documents, nothing was left behind. He opened his laptop to check their bank accounts. The joint one was empty. The savings account too. Even the small account they used for bills had just a few dollars. He stared at the screen for a long time. He couldn't believe it. She had taken everything. He checked his email. Nothing from Lena. No warning, no message. Just quiet. Then he remembered something. The house. He had always assumed they both owned it. But during a refinancing last year, he had signed a few documents without reading them carefully. It was a busy day. He had trusted the process. Now he wondered if she had done something. He found a copy of the refinancing paperwork on his computer. He opened it and read it slowly, page after page. And then he saw it. His signature on a line that said the title would be transferred to her name. He had signed it, not even noticing. She owned the house. He had nothing. It all made sense now. Every calm smile. Every quiet day. She had known. She had planned this. The tracker, the pictures, the proof. None of it had been by accident. He hadn't just made a mistake. He had walked straight into a trap. And she had already walked away. A few days passed. Aaron stayed quiet. He didn't leave the house much. He didn't call anyone. He just waited, hoping things would calm down. But they didn't. Lena had sent a video to a few friends. It showed Aaron standing outside the hotel, holding the envelope, not saying a word. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. But it said enough. The video spread quickly. One friend shared it with another. Soon many people had seen it. The church found out fast. People who used to greet him with smiles now looked away. Some stopped replying to his messages. He went to the church office to explain, but no one wanted to talk to him. A few days later, he got an email. They asked him to step down from all volunteer roles. He had also worked at a Christian radio station. It was a part-time job, but he liked it. That job ended too. They said they needed to move in a different direction. He knew what that meant. The woman from the hotel stopped talking to him. She blocked his number and deleted their photos online. He tried reaching out, but there was no answer. Just silence. One evening, Aaron opened his social media. He found something new. Lena had posted a long message. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was a calm story. She didn't name him, but everyone knew. She shared how she had trusted someone for years, how she had believed in their marriage. She wrote how she started noticing changes, and how she stayed quiet, collected proof, and waited. She said she didn't want revenge. She wanted the truth to come out. That was enough. She ended it with a sentence. He said God was watching. So was I. After that post, something strange happened. Other women started messaging her. Some she didn't know. Some only knew Aaron through church or events. One said he had sent her messages late at night. Another said he had met her at a Bible study group, and it felt odd. A few others said he flirted with them, made promises, and then disappeared. Lena didn't argue with them. She thanked them. She asked if they were okay. She didn't shout or blame. She just listened. She collected their messages and made one more post. This time, she wrote a blog. It was short, honest, and clear. The title was, How My Husband Found Salvation Between Hotel Sheets. She shared what had happened, how she discovered the truth, and what other women had told her. She didn't share names. She didn't post photos. Just words. It spread fast. People talked. Whispers turned into comments. Friends, neighbors, even strangers read it. Most of them believed her. Many said she was brave. A few stayed quiet, unsure what to think. But one thing was clear. Aaron's life was no longer the same. And Lena? She didn't need to speak much. Her silence and her truth were louder than anything he could say. Lena came home one afternoon to find a letter in her mailbox. It had no return address, but she recognized the handwriting. It was from Aaron. She didn't open it right away. She placed it on the kitchen counter and stared at it for a few minutes, then walked away. Later that evening, after dinner, she picked it up and opened it. The date on the envelope caught her attention. It was stamped a few days before the hotel incident. Her eyebrows raised, but she kept reading. The letter was long. Aaron had written pages in his neat handwriting. He talked about his guilt. He said he had been meaning to confess. He wrote that he couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and that the lies were too heavy. He said he had started writing the letter to tell her everything because he knew it was only a matter of time before the truth came out. He tried to explain things. He said the other woman didn't mean anything. He said he felt lost and made bad choices. He told her that he had planned to sit down with her and tell her the truth before she ever found out on her own. He ended the letter with, "I'm sorry. I wanted to fix it. I just didn't know how." Lena finished reading it and sat quietly for a while. The room was still. No music, no sounds, just the hum of the fridge in the background. She looked at the letter again. Her hands didn't shake. Her eyes didn't tear up. There was no sadness, just calm. She didn't believe it. It was too easy, too clean. If he really meant to tell her, why didn't he? Why did he keep lying up until the moment she caught him? Why did he only become honest when he had no choice? The timing felt like a trick. She had seen enough, heard enough. She knew the difference between words and actions. That letter didn't change anything. She took it to a local shop the next day. She asked them to frame the letter. A simple black frame, with a gold plaque at the bottom. The words on the plaque were short. Too late. She hung the frame on the wall in her hallway. Not out of anger. Not to show off. Just to remind herself of what she had learned, of what she had survived, of what she would never accept again. Visitors sometimes asked about the letter. Lena would smile and say, "It's a lesson." And that was all she said. Aaron never got a reply. Not a text, not a call, not even a thank you for the letter. He had sent his words too late. The silence that followed was not empty, it was her answer. And in that silence, Lena kept moving forward. The day in court came. Lena wore a simple black dress. Her face was calm. She didn't speak to anyone more than she had to. Her lawyer stood beside her, papers in hand, ready. Aaron was already inside. He looked nervous, his eyes moving from person to person. When he saw Lena walk in, he tried to catch her eye. She didn't look at him once. She walked past him like he wasn't even there. The judge entered. Everyone stood, then sat again. The room became quiet. The case began. Aaron's lawyer tried to argue for joint property. He said Aaron had worked hard and deserved a fair share. He brought up the house, the car, and the bank accounts. He said Aaron wanted peace, not a fight. Lena's lawyer didn't speak much. He didn't need to. The documents Lena had prepared spoke for themselves. Her financial records were clear. The house was in her name. The accounts were already separated. Every step had been taken ahead of time. Nothing was left to chance. The judge listened carefully, asked a few questions, and then gave a decision. It was firm and final. Lena got everything she had asked for. Aaron sat still, not moving. His face dropped as the words sank in. Lena stood up when it was over. She didn't glance at Aaron. She didn't say anything. She picked up her bag and walked out of the room. Her steps were steady, her back straight. Outside the courthouse, the sun was bright. She took a deep breath, then smiled softly to herself. It wasn't a smile of joy. It was a smile of peace. She had stayed quiet through it all. She had not yelled, not cried, not begged. She let the truth and the facts speak for her. And they did. People often thought strength was loud. But Lena had learned that real strength could also be silent. As she walked away, her lawyer caught up to her and said, "You did it." She nodded. "Yes, it's done." And she never looked back. He said he was at church. She said she was outside. But she wasn't there to pray. She was there to burn it down. Stand strong when everything falls apart. Share Lena's story with someone who needs to see what quiet strength looks like. Real power isn't loud. It's smart, calm, and final. Drop your thoughts in the comments and follow for more true stories of strength, betrayal, and silent revenge.